Hi, junior high students. It is time to review our scores from the last time we went over the academic vocabulary and really take a look at trying to learn a little bit more academic vocabulary, solidify our understanding of what those terms are so we can take charge of our learning a little more regularly. So we're going to go over each one of the terms, give you an idea of how we can maybe remember some of the terms. You can come up with your own creative ways, but I'll give you a few. And then we are going to quiz you again next week because our ultimate goal is to make sure that we understand all the terms and can use them in our own language from class to class and from day to day. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our essential questions. Essential questions pretty much frame a unit of study as a problem to be solved and connect what you're learning to your experiences. They're kind of making it real world, making you more curious about it. So the way that you can remember this, essential is just so important. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's essential. I can't even believe how important it is. It's an essential question. An essential question connects me to the real world or something that I understand or know about. Essential question connects to me. You know, I'm just making this up as I go along. But however you want to remember it, after we're finished with this video, this is something that you need to study each and every day. I know you have other things going on, but this is going to be persisting and continuing on until we get to the point where we reach 90% of all students being able to understand and use this vocabulary. The second thing, after essential questions that connect the real world to what we already know, would be essential standards. This is just pretty much the most important and essential things that teachers have determined for you to know. So we're going to call these essential standards. And why am I doing this? I don't know. No, actually I do know. The reason I'm doing this is because a standard is a bar. So you always have standards for everything. And so you want to set that bar really, really high so that you have to reach for it. It's the most important thing that you're going to have to struggle to reach for. So it's an essential standard, an essential bar that we want to reach because it's the most important thing, that you need to know and be able to do. Next thing on the list are learning intentions. While they're not big and broad like essential questions and essential standards for large units and for your whole course, learning intentions are what you should know and be able to do each and every single day by the end of a lesson. They are what we intend for you to know and be able to do by the end. I don't know what that means. I can't think of one for that, but you're going to have to be creative and think of one for that. The next thing after your learning intention, which gets posted and what you're supposed to know and be able to do by the end of each lesson, are the success criteria. And success criteria, fairly simply put, are what success looks and sounds like on the learning intention. So when I have to learn how to know and do something, then there are certain little bulleted items. Sometimes you see them on a rubric, sometimes you see them as a checklist of things that you should be able to do to prove, to show evidence that you have become proficient or skilled in whatever it is that you're learning. And then you use those success criteria to kind of monitor your own learning and make sure you know, oh, I've got this, I'm struggling with this. Let me go get some feedback on this particular part. So success criteria are absolutely necessary for your learning and to take charge. Next thing is academic rigor. Academic rigor are things that challenge your thinking in new and interesting ways. If you're not being challenged, then you're probably not learning anything. It requires really, really, really rigorous thinking, critical thinking, and a high level of rigor where you kind of get to the point where you're like, oh, I want to give up. This is so hard. That really makes more dendrite connections in your brain. So that's super important that you make those connections with academic rigor instead of doing all the easy stuff. Something you guys did really well on was the Webb's DOK. Depth of knowledge, it simply means how easy or difficult something is on a scale of 1 to 4. Now you were able to name them all, but some of you got a little confused on the easiest or the most difficult. So let's kind of go through those. A DOK level 1 is recall and reproduction. It's like vocabulary, simple surface level words or knowledge that you're going to need to be able to do something a little later on, but it's really basic, simple recall, reproduction. Level 2, as you move up in complexity, are the things that you actually do. It's application. So you take the stuff from level 1 and then you actually do something with it, which is why we apply those skills. You apply that knowledge, and you can't apply or do something if you don't have a basic level knowledge from level 1 to begin with. After you know the knowledge and you have learned the skills at a recall reproduction level, and then you've practiced applying them or doing some things, the third level is strategic thinking. In strategic thinking, you're really not only just doing it, but you're analyzing. You're kind of critiquing how you did it, why you did it, looking at other people's work. Why did they do it that way? Why does theirs look different? I like theirs better. I like this aspect better. I'm looking at these two pieces of work and I'm comparing and contrasting them. That really gets the dendrites firing and making new connections, which is where a lot of the learning takes place. And after level 3, we have level 4, which is extended thinking. We want to take everything we learned in 1, 2, and 3, and all of that practice, and be able to transfer it to a new situation, transfer it to a new level of knowledge. My phone is ringing. I'll be right back. All right. The last really term that we're looking at is feedback, and feedback is just a process in which learners make sense out of their performance. Usually feedback is given compared to a success criteria. So if you know that one success criteria for a good baseball stance is keeping keeping your feet shoulders width apart, then you can get feedback from someone, your coach or another player, for whether you're doing that well. Are you keeping your feet shoulders width apart? Are they too wide? Are they too narrow? Is 1 foot up, 1 foot back? You can get feedback, but the feedback needs to be attached to a success criteria, something that you know is going to make you successful at whatever the skill is. So feedback is just a process to see how you are doing in your performance. Then we have the social emotional learning goals, and there's I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. Goal number 1 for the SEL standards is all about yourself. One person, you, me, just yourself. Develop self-awareness and self-management skills to achieve school and life success. Be aware of your abilities and weakness. Recognize negative emotions in you. Regulate your feelings and behavior. Control your anger. Handle stressful situations. Persist through setbacks. It's all about self, 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 just you. Goal 2 is using social awareness and intrapersonal skills to establish and maintain positive relationships. So this is between 2 different people. So it's social awareness, hello, how are you? And interpersonal skills, how do you get along with others, as opposed to just being self-aware. So all of the goal 2 stuff has to do with your social awareness and interpersonal skills. Say please and thank you. Respect the behavior of others. Recognize other people's feelings. Develop communication and listening skills, which is good, and resolving conflicts with others. And then the very last goal is goal 3, demonstrating decision-making skills and responsible behaviors in personal, school, and community contexts. And that's just, make good decisions. Be at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Wear your IDs. Comply with the cell phone rule. No earbuds, no bags, book bags, no hoodies or hats, no speakers in the hallway, those sorts of things. So that's pretty cut and dried on those. So if anything has to do with decision-making, overall, following the rules, it's probably going to be goal 3. If anything has to do with goal 2, it's probably going to be about interpersonal relationships between 2 people and social awareness. If anything has to do with goal 1, it's going to be about yourself, self-awareness and self-management. So hopefully this little review helped out a little bit. What I can tell you is that I would like for you to study these terms. Make sure you find a way to help you remember them. Draw a picture, come up with something. Dendrites, the reason we do this is because it helps. When we're talking about all these things that we're talking about, it's all so that we can make new learning occur. New learning where we take our dendrites and they attach. Dendrites, they're looking for things to attach to. And you don't want your dendrites to kind of be sad and not do anything. And if you don't engage with these terms and what they're talking about, you're going to have some sad and bored dendrites. We want to know what our learning intention and our success criteria is, so bam, the dendrites are all alive and they look for things to connect to. Boom, dendrites. So study, try to figure out ways to remember what we're talking about so we can use this language regularly, and we'll see you on the flip side. Quiz next week.